Harrison Armory is the premier manufacturer of weapons and weapon platforms in the galaxy. It is one of the 3 largest corpo states that dictate the consumption habits of the diaspora and cosmopolita. Unlike the others, the Armory is a major and overt participant in galactic politics, pursuing an expansive imperial project that is reined in only by Union and the Karakan trade baronies. This is the first thing found on page 394 of the LANCER core rulebook. Alongside it is a kick-ass image of a Sherman firing its core power, and a quote from the founder of the Armory, John Creighton Harrison I. I'll read it for you now. "No howling masses ever overcame the might of hope." When you read this, what does it make you think of? Do you feel inspired, patriotic, angry? In this video, we're going to be discussing all of those thoughts, and more. It's going to be split up into 2, technically 3 sections. Me explaining what Harrison Armory is, while detailing my own personal thoughts and beliefs, and how Lancer presents them, and 2 interviews with some wonderful folks who are willing to share their own opinions. So, without any further ado, ladies and lovelies, let's talk shop. Harrison Armory, gameplay-wise, is a mech manufacturer that players in Lancer can put their license levels into, for mechs, weapons, and systems. Their mechs are balanced around using your heat to gain abilities, and grow stronger the hotter your reactor runs. It's some standard resource management, and the Armory does it well. They field energy weapons, laser rifles, plasma torches, portal guns, and even powerful NHP friends to take you to your next sit rep. But lore-wise, it's not all fun and games with your cool friend Agni. Harrison Armory is described in universe as a corpo state ruled by a director general, which has currently been 3 people, a line of clones starting with the original, John Creighton Harrison I, then the second, then the third. So, in other words, it's kind of more akin to a corpo monarchy, with clones of Harrison, this eternal director general, ruling his great purview. Although Harrison III is currently indisposed, as when the second one died, he was sent on a 100-year-long odyssey to visit every planet he would rule over. This left a corrupt steward council in his place. Although, that's not to say guys like Harrison I and II were any better, but we'll handle them soon enough. I'm going to take a moment to summarize some of the products that the Harrison Armory can provide to Lancers during their deployments all around the Orion Arm. The Soul Pattern Laser Rifle, a standard main weapon that does energy and burn damage. Simple and for the price of just 1 heat to yourself. The Napoleon, a mech that uses built-in blink space shields to negate damage and block the enemy from acting. The Agni, an NHP built off the digitized suffering of an egregorian overmind that was vivisected by Union scientists before being used to program and condition a Demosian entity until its trauma could be considered profitable. The Barbarossa, biggest gun. Harrison is the biggest arms dealer in the Orion Arm. They sell everything, and living under them is less like living under a corporation, and more so living under an actual nation. But you may be wondering, how and why does Union, the third committee, tolerate their bullshit? I mean, Union has the biggest navy in the galaxy, so why not put the big purple bruise of the Orion Arm down? As always, it comes to politics. When the Union's second committee was overthrown, one man, the highest-ranking survivor of SecCom's government that wasn't dead or captured, fled to the special project world of Rosh Shamra. This man was John Creighton Harrison I. Under his leadership, dissidents of his regime were executed, and many surviving SecCom admirals fled to him. But then, they were threatened by the Karakans, looking to tear this anthro-chauvinist upstart apart and feast upon the GMS special project worlds it would get from their carcass. Unfortunately, though, this didn't work. Harrison I, piloting an early Saladin, known as the Fear Killer, fought bravely, and by the end of the First Interest War, he used a brutal tactic to win. The baronies were in complete disarray, with their entire military leadership utterly vaporized alongside everyone else on the moon of Creighton. They surrendered. This is a pretty good description, I think, of the man Harrison I was. Willing to destroy an entire moon and everyone on it just to win. But then Third Com came knocking.
FBI, open up!
Harrison was still wanted for his crimes. So he struck a deal. Take him, try him, and do whatever they wanted. But let his son and first clone, the John Harrison II, live and recognize the Armory as a legitimate state and megacorporation. Union took the deal. And when Harrison I and II arrived back on Cradle, John was tried for his crimes against humanity and was executed by hanging, a death that would, according to drafts of the Harrison Armory Field Guide, make him a martyr for the ages. Then we come to Harrison II, who was also killed in a extremely unique fashion. Long after the first contact accords were signed, Harrison II had an idea, a wonderful idea. What if he didn't have to die? What if he could live forever? True immortality, his mind being transferred into a machine, not just a clone, but really him. So he went to his best scientists, the think tank, a group of NHPs on the verge of Cascade, and he asked them to find a way. 5 minutes later, Ra and the entirety of the moon of Deimos appeared in orbit to tell him to stop. Harrison I, like any purple-blooded Armory patriot, told him to get off of his goddamn lawn and to blow that rock out of his sky. Moments after, with every gun, laser, and rocket fired into orbit, Ra teleported all that ordnance directly into the same room as Harrison, and he and the entire building, known as the Black Throne, were instantly vaporized. Harrison I and II are very divisive figures in and out of universe. Harrison Armory is often seen as this very fascist, big bad space Nazi group by some, and the Bush presidency turned up to 11 by others. I've seen many people call them the Super Earth of Lancer. But neither of these are true. At least not entirely. Harrison Armory is not fascist. They have imperialistic goals, yes, but they're not an empire, or at least not in the traditional sense. Harrison Armory is kind of weird because it certainly pulls on this idea of America, the American dream. You can be somebody if you try hard enough, but like America, it's corrupt, imperialistic, and cruel. If you live in the Armory, great. Life is probably really good. They have social security nets and work to keep people safe, especially if you live on the capital, Ras Shamra. It's when you fight back that things get very bad. In the Lancer short story, Midnight on the Open Hand, John Harrison III, sent into exile/odyssey by the Steward Council, left to rule after his father's vaporization, visits the planet of Yevgeny Boldempor. There is no Yevgeny Boldempor when he arrives, though. The planet was rendered completely dead by a campaign of orbital and nuclear strikes. Why would this happen? What horrible crime was committed to require every life on this planet to die, John wonders. They declared independence from the Armory and its purview. So the planet was destroyed. During this story, John descends to the ruins of the planet's surface and wades through the atomic ash. He ruminates on this. Countless lives ended, and his soldiers call it an acceptable price for growth. John disagrees. I was made to be a good steward. A good steward. Did my father mean for me to rule? Or was I just created as insurance? In his greed, he bade the Constellars to make more than a dozen of us just like him. I do not know what became of my brothers and sisters, though I do know that many have died, killed by the Midnights, or hunted by the Steward Council. Some, no doubt, have returned to Rosh Shamra and bent the knee. Others, I am sure, are hidden across more distant stars. I hope those who remain do not live my life. I hope they never return to Rosh Shamra. Rosh Shamra, the rock that my power is built upon. In the halls of that world, the names of the people I have come to love are not known, unless they are known as resources, units and figures to be collected and spent in the pursuit of acquiring more. I am loath to perpetuate this process. I am loath to have it done in my name. I am John Creighton Harrison III, the Ageless. I have seen the whole of the purview. When I return to Rosh Shamra, I will be as unstoppable as dawn. The stewards will watch me shine like the sun, and I will shape the world to my vision. John Creighton Harrison III, Ageless. Harrison Armory is like a walking contradiction. Built to be an image of a meritocratic America that works, with good lives for its citizens. But it's ruled by corruption, bends the knees to kings, founded by fascists, and is ever expanding in imperial gluttony. I think this is on purpose, and the writers kind of want you to see this hypocrisy. But I've talked for long enough. I'd like you all to meet two wonderful people who also have opinions on the Armory. The first one is a friend of mine who goes by the name of Squid. The other is someone some of you might have heard of before. Olive of Lancer Tactics. I'll let them take it from here. Post-original recording Sierra here, with a bit of an extra segment for you. I want to go over in brief detail each of the licenses that Harrison Armory provides. We're going to start firstly with the Barbarossa. As stated before, the Barbarossa is the biggest gun, with its frame having traits like heavy. It can't be pushed, pulled, or knocked prone by smaller characters. And with the Barbarossa being the only size 3 mech in the game, you're going to be hard-pressed to find anything that can push you around. It's got resistance to explosive damage, and all allied characters get hard cover from the Barbarossa, but because it's so big, it has a difficulty on all agility checks and saves. But there's also the big thing with the Barbarossa that everybody likes, and it's the Apocalypse Rail. When fully charged, does 4d6 of explosive damage and 100 AP damage to all terrain. It's insane, and I love it. I think everyone just sees the Apocalypse Rail and goes, big gun, go boom, and you know what? They're right to do so. It also comes equipped with things like the external ammo feed, which allows you to essentially quickly reload a loading weapon for a quick action, which is kind of a similar thing to what the autoloader drone will do for you, just as a drone. And of course it has the super heavy weapon known as the Siege Cannon that any other mech can use, with loading, ordnance, arcing, and a bunch of heat given to whoever's using it. And then the Genghis. The Genghis is the flamethrower. If you like fires and flames and everything that burns, play a Genghis. You've got the Krakatoa thermobaric flamethrower, which is pretty sick. You can equip yourself with explosive vents, havoc charges, which are basically just napalm bombs, a super heavy plasma thrower, and the Agni NHP, which we talked a little bit about earlier. But it also has 2 frames, the standard Genghis, and then the World Killer Mark I, which is from No Room for a Wallflower. The standard Genghis is a size 1 big boy with 3 armor, immunity to burn, and it clears all heat upon taking structure damage. It can, with its core power, basically just exceed its heat cap and vent this big burst 3 cloud of burning gas and smoke that makes pretty much everything hurt, and everyone around you is invisible for as long as they're inside. The Iskander is basically the mine layer. It has a couple little stub cannons, which I imagine are just little revolvers, and it's got the gravity gun, a weapon that does no damage, but can essentially pull people around and do damage to them if they fail a hull save. The Iskander itself is all about grenades and landmines. In short, generally, if it can throw a grenade or mine, it can do so not just at its normal rate, but at range 15. And once per round, when it plants a mine, it can drop 2 other mines as a free action, basically making it like the ultimate it turns every battlefield into no man's land. Especially because it doesn't trigger any mines or proximity-based systems. So no landmine or tripwire will ever be caught by the Iskander, unless it wants it to. And then its core power basically just straps little bricks of C4 to everything that moves. And if it moves too fast, boom! Then the Napoleon, the Napoleon's a little guy, he's small. He's got the stasis bolt and the stasis bear, it's all stasis stuff basically built. The Napoleon's a defender that's built to basically stop you from moving. If you're fighting a Napoleon, you're not going to be going anywhere, because it'll set up these big walls, it'll have its phase ready mod that basically let it ignore obstructions. And it's powerful. The Napoleon itself has the true black Aegis, which basically lets you reduce all damage to 1, so if you're fighting a nuclear bomb, you'll be fine. It basically makes you like super invincible, but you can't do anything while it's active. It also has an alt frame called the Kutuzov, which is all about using shields. So when it activates a shield, it can knock hostile characters back. Whenever anyone around it takes the brace action, they can clear shredded. Plus, the Napoleon license comes equipped with the Displacer, a powerful and super hot energy rifle that will basically just vaporize anything it hits and send them to like the edge of the universe. The flavor text says that it makes no noise, and the only sound made is it rapidly cooling, after just making everyone around you cease to be. Then there's the Big Sal. Big Sal is iconic amongst the Harrison line because every Department of Justice squad basically has one to act as its defender. They all get free drinks at bars, they're pilots, and they're just really cool. They're akin to Ion with its shield ability from Titanfall. Basically being immune to shredded, so it'll always have armor, and people can use it for hardcover. Plus, the Saladin it has its shield ability, which lets it just nope, stop, So, any attacks made on it or its allies, it can just make not happen. Plus, it comes equipped with the Noah class NHP, which has another shield ability called the Diluvian Arc, which basically slows you and allows you to set up this big, warp shield, and whenever anyone makes an attack against you or an adjacent ally, you can roll a d6 to just stop that attack from happening and make them take damage for it. It's great. Then the Sherman, the most iconic in and out of universe for all of Harrison Armory. They've got the laser rifles. They've got the Soul pattern, the Andromeda pattern, the Tachyon Lance. It's basically even got Ion's core power too, with the Zone Focus Mark IV solid core laser that just it makes a big boom and it implodes you. It shoots you with a massive laser, and who does not love massive lasers? Plus, it comes with the Ashura class NHP, which is pretty neat, basically allowing you to break the action economy by giving you a second full action's worth of actions. Put that on Everest with a heavy machine gun, there is no saving them. The Sherman also comes with an alt frame, the Tagates, which is a sniper that basically has the power to take any weapon type and make it a rifle. Which is, believe it or not, really good. Then there's the Tokugawa, who has the Lucifer class NHP, and its whole bit, the entire frame and all its licenses, you want to burn hot, and you want to try to not explode. You're more of a suicide bomb than a manticore, really, with external batteries, annihilators, torches, plasma gauntlets to melt the faces of people you're fighting. It's fitting that the Tokugawa also comes equipped with a wallflower alt called the Enkidu, which basically is a big size 2 monster from the Hercynia Crisis that was originally built as the Protester Blender 3000. And with this Protester Blender 3000, it has the ability to go into the danger zone, extend its plasma talons, and go into an all-fours mode that lets it just start ripping things apart. If you want to be a crazed cat girl that just rips and tears, play an Enkidu. Then the Gilgamesh. The Gilgamesh is the Harrison version of an Everest, really. It's built a little bit more around limited systems like grenades, or the limited systems on its Legionnaire battle rifle or the Super Thermal Blade. I think every weapon the Gilgamesh comes with has limited systems because it's built around this, and when you expend enough of them, you gain bonuses. And it also comes equipped with a utility drone and an emergency repair module, so it basically can do anything. It can be a frontline attacker, it can be a melee fighter, it can fire at you from a distance with spear charges and a nexus, or it can heal you with the emergency repair module. Then there's the Sunzi from the Long Rim. This thing is weird, because Harrison Armory basically went to the Voladores, which are basically Spanish space nomads, and they shook them down for their lunch money, and they got this out of it. They've got a warp rifle that basically lets you shoot someone and send them to somewhere else on the map. And you've got blink charges, which are just portal grenades. The rank 3 has something called the Final Secret. I don't know about you, but I don't want to know what the final secret is. In all actuality, basically, it's a quick tech that lets you choose yourself or someone else than sensors, and you are charged with this unstable energy. And basically, every time your target or you takes damage, you can teleport them to force. It's basically, you take damage, you teleport. But still, the Sunzi is very weird because it's not from Harrison. They shook down the Voladores, and that's how they got this thing. But yeah, that's a quick rundown of the Armory frames. This is a quick post-editing segment that I wanted to add in. Sorry about that, folks. Let's continue the video. Before we start talking about Harrison Armory, would my friend here like to introduce herself?
Yes. I'm Squid. I am an avid fan of Lancer. I have played way too much of it and just kind of passively read the core books for fun, because I'm weird and a freak like that. I think Harrison Armory is very interesting, and I think they kind of did a little dirty by the writers.
Alright. I think Harrison Armory is a very interesting topic, and I'm excited to get into this with you and everyone else I've asked who's willing to come on today and talk. So, when we're talking about Harrison Armory, I've got a couple talking points we can start going through. I'll be asking every one of these, but I want to talk to you about them first.
Let's go through them. Hit me with them.
So, as an interpretation of the American dream, the idea that anyone can be anything, and with all these social security nets, does Harrison Armory achieve that idea? Do you think the writers have made Harrison Armory work as an interpretation of a perfected America?
I don't think I would go so far as to say it is a perfected America, because, I mean, the Armory certainly has flaws. All of the megacorps do, I feel.
They are megacorps.
Yeah, it comes with the territory. but I think the way I would say it is, as a functional version of the American dream, like an American dream that works as advertised, I think it does perform that task well, because the whole thing with the Armory is anyone can build up their social credit, and they can attain higher ranks and higher, I don't want to say privileges, but you know what I mean. Higher station through
prestige.
purely their work.
Alright. So you would say that Harrison Armory works as a functional version of the American dream, but not a perfected version.
I don't think there's any way to perfect the American dream, and Harrison certainly has not perfected it, but it does work. It works as advertised.
It does absolutely work, unless you happen to be an ungrateful or a Flash clone. I imagine life in Harrison isn't all that bad.
Yeah, no, I imagine it's fairly alright. I feel like you could certainly do worse.
Yeah. I mean, Harrison is rather unique out of all of the corpo states that are selling weapons and mechs in the galaxy, because Harrison feels less like a weapons dealer and a megacorporation. It feels more like a monarchy and a government that's main industry is weapons dealing.
Yeah, it is. It does feel more like a state that just happens to export mass amounts of weapons, rather than just like an arms dealer that people happen to live under.
Yeah, because the idea of an arms dealer that people live under is very strange, but the fact that the Armory has such a storied history and the massive purview goes to me, it makes me think that there's no way that they are just a mega corporation. Even when they were founded, they weren't a mega corporation. Harrison Armory was a state.
Yeah, they were a state first and foremost, and they just kind of like, I think, ended up with the special project worlds and just kind of used them.
Yeah, they got them at the end of the first interest war, and they decided, well,
might as well.
Yeah, you've got all these worlds, you might as well use them.
Might as well use them for something. I mean, I think they are, even outside of the weapons manufacturing, I think they are like a major industrial power. Like, I think they make things that aren't weapons. They just general industrial capacity. I know there's some flavor text that mentions
I need to double check the
made on Rothsham, like tested on Rothsham Raw is like a stamp that people look for on any sort of manufactured goods. I want to say it's in the field guide somewhere. But
I want to say it's in the core rulebook that Harrison does things like make cars, and Harrison Armory absolutely is not just an arms dealer. They definitely make a multitude of civilian products.
Oh yeah. They probably make majority civilian products, really.
Yeah. Alright, I'm going to ask you another question now.
Alright.
How do you think the Armory treats NHPs, and do you think it fits them character-wise and writing-wise?
How they treat NHPs is very interesting, especially based on kind of what we have from like the Noah class and the Ashura class.
And the Luce.
Yeah.
The Agni, I think, is one of the greatest crimes they could have committed with an NHP, is making the Agni in the first place.
Yes. I don't think that the Armory views them as like full kind of people, or like maybe citizens of the Armory the way a Union might. I think they view them as incredibly useful tools to be used as they see fit.
Yeah, although I think that also would extend to how they would see something like a Flash clone. These aren't really people, these are more so just tools. It just so happens that these tools have extra-dimensional paracausal powers.
Exactly. Like, I think they're just another tool in the Director General's toolbox, so to speak.
Yeah, for the Director General to engage in all sorts of, more so the Steward Council, to engage in all sorts of buffoonery and crime.
Of course.
You mentioned earlier that you are not a big fan of how... You say that the Armory was done dirty by the writers. How would you say that's happened? How would you say the Armory has been done dirty?
So, my general thought on it is I think the writers were kind of trying to do two things with the Armory that you just fully cannot do at the exact same time. I think they are both trying to make them very clearly like the fascist holdout from SecCom, the remaining bastion of that ideology. But I think they are also trying to make them the perfected American dream, where, at least on the inside, everything is all hunky-dory and normal. And I just don't think that you can do both of those at the same time. And I think trying to do them leads to a lot of dissonance. Because I think they want, I think that they want people to be able to like the Armory and be able to say that, like, maybe the Armory is their favorite of the megacorps or whatever. But I think by also making them the SecCom holdout, I think they've fully torpedoed any chance of that, and I don't think that was the intention.
The waters are too muddied now, thanks to the existence. Thanks to the fact that John Creighton Harrison was a war criminal executed for his crimes, it kind of muddies the water with any enjoyment that Harrison as of like being a Harrison patriot could bring.
Exactly. I like. There's even with John Creighton Harrison, there's a bit, and I think it's in the Saladin flavor text, with like the Saladin Mark One, where it was called the Fear Killer because it was like John Creighton Harrison fighting on the front lines with his men during the First Interest War, piloting like a Mark One Saladin called Fear Killer.
They make him out to be a hero almost, but
exactly. Like, there's such a dissonance.
It's interesting because on the one hand, you know, he's a complex character. He was a hero to his people, but he was also a wanted war criminal who was executed for what he did. Who did a lot of awful shit to end up getting executed by the Third Committee.
Oh, yeah.
But on the other hand, well, you know, he was this hero. He was the Fear Killer. He piloted an early Saladin during the Interest War on the front lines. But this is the same man who destroyed the moon of Creighton for a tactical win.
Yeah. And this is kind of something I was thinking about bringing up later. The Colonial Legion, like the acquisitions and management team, where they'll go out to worlds and kind of integrate and, you know, slowly take it over from the inside. There is a bit in the, I believe, core book, either under the Harrison bit or the DOJ HR bit, where planets that have been kind of integrated under like the acquisitions team will suddenly change their flag to purple, which DOJ teams will refer to as the bruise of just this.
Yeah, the big bruise of the Orion Arm
spreading across the rings here. And I think, I mean, I love that. I think the bruise is probably one of my favorite little tidbits of Harrison lore. It's also very fun to say, oh, it's the fucking bruise.
It's such an interesting and specific insult and a call out to Harrison, and it works so well in lore. I love that they thought of like, yeah, we're calling them the bruise on the Orion Arm.
Exactly.
So, to me, when I think of Harrison Armory, I can understand exactly where you're coming from, and I can get that. To me, the Armory kind of makes me think of the Bush presidency.
Yeah.
The Armory, is like, the writers want... I understand what you're saying, where they're a fascist holdout from the Union's Second Committee. But then there's also the Armory very much, it's American, and you can't really escape the connotations of modern-day America when you make something American. Because to me... No. Harrison Armory would unironically, to me in my head, I see Harrison Armory going through those America, fuck yeah, Middle Eastern countries when they discover oil, hearing Star Spangled Banner on the horizon. That's kind of how I see Harrison. They are that.
That is a reasonable interpretation of Harrison, I think.
Of course, all this is up to interpretation. That's another thing. It's the thing about Lancers. A lot of this shit is up to interpretation.
Yeah. They do very much have that kind of 1980s American exceptionalism. The world is ours type deal. And I do think that is intentional.
That certainly feels intentional. but it also does conflict a little. A little, but also does... It's difficult because there is that American exceptionalism, and then there's the fact that their founder is essentially a Nazi war criminal who fled the Fuhrer bunker for Argentina. You've got the origin story of every what if Hitler survived World War II theory out there, and they end up with all the pros of America. Have you ever read... I'm going to sound stupid. Have you ever read JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? Spoilers for Steel Ball Run.
Big fan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
It reminds me of Funny Valentine, where his whole goal
You're
is...
kind of right, though.
Yeah, Harrison Armory reminds me a lot of Valentine, where his whole goal is to use the corpse of Christ, the holy corpse, the saint's corpse, to take all of the ill will and all of the negative things in America and give it to make it everyone else's problem.
Yeah.
Where if you're living under the Armory and if you're a true purple patriot, I think life will be good. But the moment you start questioning things, and if you start speaking out, you're gonna get disappeared or stuffed into a penal legion.
Exactly. You're going to the penal legion, and
You're joining the colonial legionnaires, and they're sending you off to the front lines.
They're putting you in an agony. Pretty
much, they're putting you in an agony. I think they already tried that once, and it didn't end well for them. But yeah, Harrison's very much two different things. It's interesting, but they also deeply conflict, and I don't know if that was the intention or not. That's the thing.
It may have been the intention. They're trying to write a morally gray, but I think they may have written them too gray.
The gray's a little too dark. The gray's a little too dark, where it's kind of hard to see the light.
Yeah. Because anything you can see with the light is immediately overshadowed by the immense amounts of fascism.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, talking point. If you could change something or canonize a specific something in Armory lore, what would it be?
I think it's actually had like an answer for this like earlier, but it slipped to my mind now, and I'm kind of pissed about it.
Do you want to come back to that? Do you want to come back to that one later?
Yeah, we'll come back to see if I can remember what my answer was going to be.
Okay. All right. One other thing. I think I only have one or two other questions. What are your opinions on the art design of the Armory and its mechs?
I think they certainly have like a consistent design, but I don't know if I fully like it, because honestly it took me a while to kind of get on board with a lot of the Harrison mechs. Like for the longest time I just didn't like a lot of them.
Okay.
And I think the designs are a little lackluster in a lot of instances. I think the Saladin is an exception. I think the Saladin is really good.
The Saladin looks nice. I noticed with a lot of them, they have this similar, like, orange panels on a lot of them. I think most of them have the orange panels.
Yeah.
Very They're angular and panel-y. Like, the Barbarossa
has... Yeah, I do like the Barbarossa. But I think as a whole, I think they're very basic designs, which I think fits with what Harrison is. Like, I think they're designed well. They're just not the most interesting of designs to me as a whole.
Alright. I'm a fan of some of them. Some of the designs I think are a little stupid, like the big ass head on the Sherman. He look and his stupid gay little vest. It's a little foolish to me. It seems a little buffoonish and silly. And I don't know how I feel about it, but I know it works. I know it's where the big laser is stored.
The laser is stored in the head.
It is. They all have these orange panels. Like the Tokugawa has the head and the abs of the orange panels. The Napoleon, its whole ass... I love the design of the Napoleon. It is such an interesting and unique design.
The Napoleon is a very fun design. I was gonna say the Louis, I think it's the 14th from Battle Group, is based on the Napoleon, and that's like my favorite battleship in the game.
Ooh, that is a very good looking ship. Yeah, it's just a big displacer. It's just a big displacer. That's the best part.
It's a big displacer. I love the Louis.
Do you have the answer to that question I asked earlier about changing or canonizing something with an Armory lore?
I still don't. I'll try and come up with something by the end of this.
Alright, then I have one more question for you. Armory versus Karakin Trade Baronies. Who wins?
Armory.
Armory. Alright. Why do you say the Armory wins?
I mean, the Armory, for starters, has the second largest fleet in the galaxy behind Union.
Behind Union. I'm a proud GMS Union patriot, so this is good news.
As you should be, honestly. And I think really Harrison is a lot more centralized than the Baronies. The Baronies, while they are more centralized than they have been in the past, I think it would still take significant effort and political maneuvering to muster the kind of forces necessary to match I want to say almost, yeah, the output of firepower and troops the Armory can produce.
Alright. Although, isn't the Armory being run by a steward council and not John Creighton Harrison III at the moment?
Yes. They are being run by the Steward Council. John Creighton Harrison III is on his way back, though. I think 1518 is when he gets back.
That's true. And the question is, what's going to happen when he does return from his forced exile into the Purview? What's he going to do?
I didn't think it was forced exile. I thought it was
more like the stewards tried to just kind of like shoo him away so they could run things for a bit.
I was reading the field guide, and at least to me it seemed like he kind of went on a voluntary tour of every single Purview world.
Kind of, but it started when he was 11 years old.
Yeah.
So it's more to me it feels more so he was given the boot so the stewards could run things for a while. And now he's coming back, and I remember, I think it was a Master Teacher, one of the extra little short stories. John III has kind of been radicalized against his dad, and the Armory's expansionism.
No, I've not. You'll have to send that to me so I can read that.
I will absolutely send that to you, and I'll probably link it in the description of this video.
Okay, I want an excuse to be able to like Harrison Armory, so yes. I'll take it if this is the case.
John I'll take it. The short story features him wading through the nuclear ashes of a planet that tried to resist the Armory. And the story is him thinking, I kind of hate John Creighton Harrison II, and I kind of want to make the Armory better than this.
You know what that almost reminds me of? I forget who it was, but it's a historical figure. It was, I almost want to say it was like Chandragupta, one of the rulers of ancient India, who basically led this massive campaign to unite the entire Indian peninsula. And after his conquest was concluded, he basically went on a tour of his newly acquired territory, see what he just spent all that blood for and such. And saw the devastation that he had wrought, and I think just became Buddhist. Went, wait, never mind, hold on.
I want to say that's
I think became a devout pacifist after seeing the destruction wrought, and that's almost what it reminds me of, and I'm sure that's intentional.
I know I've heard that story, and that I could actually see that being intentional. Lancer draws very clearly from a multitude of non-European sources.
Yeah. And as they should, honestly.
Yeah, it very much draws from a large swath of non-European sources. I think the only two factions I can really think of as very European or American-centric are Harrison and Seccom, and I think that's very intentional.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's very much an intentional decision on the part of the writers to make the I guess almost I would say the most familiar to probably a lot of the fan base of Lancer be basically the two bad guys.
Yeah, because frankly, when you think of Harrison, you're gonna think space Nazis, bad guys.
Yep.
Yeah, because Harrison really isn't space Nazis. If you want space Nazis, look for the Union's Second Committee.
Yeah, we've got space Nazis.
We've got space Nazis. They're not Harrison.
I think I mentioned it to you before, but the homebrew of the fan module Iphigenia at Midnight.
I I've heard of it. I haven't played it. Is it good?
There's a lot of that thing. I've not played it, but the whole thing is there is a basically lost SecCom fleet that is showing up like 500 years after the revolution.
And you've got to, I imagine you have to curb stomp them before they implode everyone they come across.
It's pretty much you are, like they're coming to this system that was rebelling against SecCom. And basically you are from the system and you kind of have to get rid of them before they blow up your entire world.
Yeah, that sounds like a bit of an issue. I think that needs to be solved.
Yeah. One of my favorite frames from that is the Spectre, which has a lot of like, I almost want to say like kind of revolutionary rhetoric in its flavor text.
Alright.
Like there's a system called like the needle and the thread, and the flavor text is like, is the seamstress and the seamster not workers the same as yourself, comrades? And it's like this whole thing of like do they not also labor? And
Lancer is very woke.
Oh yeah.
I can't believe they made Lancer woke.
Yeah, I can't believe they did this.
Sick.
Why would they do this?
What's next? John Creighton Harrison is a minority? I honestly... we don't even have any artistic references of Harrison, do we?
No. Ah, wait, I've remembered what I want to...
You've got your answer. You've got your answer. Give it to me.
Okay. So, I saw this on a Tumblr post. But it was basically an interpretation of the Armory where they believe in the utopian pillars almost more than anyone else. Is almost an entire zealotry for them. The pillars are non-negotiable. If you are not complying with them, you will be made forcefully to comply.
It's like those NATO edits. Gay marriage is non-negotiable.
Exactly. And I really like that interpretation because I kind of think stuff like that is fun.
It very much is aggressively democratic or aggressively freedom-based. In come the Helldiver jokes.
Actually, like not even better than Super Earth, which is not a high bar to
Super Earth is not a high bar to clear.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of the thing of like. They have very anthro-chauvinist beliefs and tendencies, but it's that thing of you are going to comply with the utopian pillars so you can be the greatest human and spread across the stars as well as we can.
Yes.
These pillars ensure that humanity will continue in perpetuity as we were meant to.
The galaxy is our birthright, and by God, you are going to be worthy of that birthright.
Exactly. And I think that would be a very interesting thing, a very fun kind of read or interpretation of how the Armory, I'm supposed to say, conducts business.
All right,
so I think that's what I would want to I'd want to canonize.
All right, I can get behind that. Would you keep Harrison I's origins as a runaway war criminal as well? That's an important question. Yeah. Okay, you would keep this.
I think removing Harrison I's origins would just be disingenuous. At that point, they're not the Armory; they're something else entirely.
Absolutely, it is.
Well, I'm not a fan of Harrison I by any stretch of the imagination.
I don't think anyone is. Well, I'm sure the Armory is.
Would be, I think you'd be doing almost a disservice to the Armory. And I think that's kind of the coward's way out as well.
Yeah, Harrison is
never mind, don't worry about him.
Harrison's complicated. They can be as great as possible, but they're always going to be... I think you have to accept the fact that the Armory is always going to be sullied by their origins with Harrison I.
And I think there's a lot to do that, especially with what you mentioned with what was the story called? Like the master and the student?
Master student. I'm going to pull it up now while we're talking.
Especially with that thing you mentioned of Harrison III kind of becoming radicalized against the second. I think having the Armory be under this leadership or develop this culture of our origins are shameful, but we must be worthy of our continued existence. We must be better than what we were.
All right. the PDF, the full story is Master Teacher, Lyceum, Open Hand. It's a collection of stories. The one with Harrison is It Was Nighttime Aboard the Open Hand.
Ooh, that's quite a good name, honestly.
Yes, I love that. Is such an interesting name for Harrison's, I guess, personal vessel. It was nighttime on the open hand. That's very good. I think that's all the questions and the talking points I had. I don't know where I'm going to be putting this in terms of talking with everyone else, but if this is the final part of the video, I'd like to say thank you for Squid for coming along and talking to me about all this. Very kind of you.
Of course, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you. And I'd like to... Oh, sorry, you were going to say something?
I said, always a pleasure.
It always is a pleasure, and I'd like to thank all of you for watching. If you would be willing to introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name's Olive. I'm the lead developer for the Lancer third-party game, Lancer Tactics.
All right. I'm a big fan of your work. If you don't, big fan. I think it's awesome that you're making a Lancer video game. That's really cool.
It's a lot of nice things have come together to make it possible, and I'm a big fan of your maps that you've made.
Oh, you flatter me. Thank you. I just make them in my free time while I in between schoolwork. I figure, you know what? I like making maps. I've always wanted to do map making. It's something that I've always thought would be fun, but I'm not very good with coding and stuff. So this was a fun way for me to get that out.
Yeah, like, I mean, this is a bit of a tangent from the Harrison Armory stuff.
Oh no,
but,
you're free. We can just also talk about whatever too if you'd like. It doesn't have to be just about Harrison.
Yeah, like I am a huge fan of like map making programs like in StarCraft or like Age of Empires, and I seem to be incapable of making a game that doesn't include a map editor in some form.
No, that's real. I love map making. I love seeing, especially with for something like a first-person game. I love maps, and I always want to make them because I love it when map makers hide little secrets in their maps. I love that so much.
Yeah, I just started doing the Kickstarter backer rewards, the map maker ones, and it's so fun to be like, oh, like we should put a little a bunch of rubble at the bottom of this hill because there was an avalanche here recently, and like you can do environmental storytelling.
Storytelling.
Yeah.
I love environmental storytelling. I'm a big Bethesda fan, so I love all the big maps that Bethesda games have.
Yeah.
All right. So you've been willing to come on, and thank you again. So I want to. What are your general opinions on Harrison Armory? Because I've gotten plenty of different thoughts on them.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out which perspective to bring to the forefront here.
You can talk from either a lore sense, a gameplay sense, or coding sense, however you want to talk about Harrison.
Yeah. Maybe a narrative tool sense. So in kind of coming up with the setting for Lancer Tactics on Verde Villa, one of the planets in the Dawnline Shore, the Harrison Armory fulfills the role of kind of being a stand-in for American imperialism in a lot of ways. They have their I think they're called asset management teams, AMTs.
Yeah, the colonial legionnaires.
Yeah, and they show up and they actually ahead of the main legionnaire force, arm local dissidents, and try to make the planet unstable.
So Harrison
so that the main force can come in and liberate it. Yeah. So it's they show up to help overthrow a tyrant. Yay, everybody loves that. But it's all in service of their own imperial ambition. So in Lancer Tactics and the eventual story of Verde Villa that we want to eventually tell, one of the tensions is do you accept help from the kind of Harrison Armory placed actors on the planet?
Ooh, okay,
who
so you have to
give you
choose
access to weapons and stuff.
Okay, so getting access to Harrison stuff would be nice, but I'm sure that comes with with the big hanging shadow of
Like
Yvik's-
it
of
lets
Harrison.
them get their like kind of teeth into.
They've got their claws in
it.
you now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, I mean, I'm interested in telling stories that reflect the real world.
All right.
And Harrison is kind of like a really convenient container for a lot of the more like imperialist patterns that you see empires partake.
Oh, I can agree with that, absolutely. Their main fighting force is literally called the Colonial Legionnaires. They can't get more imperial than that.
Yeah, right.
I recently ran a Lancer campaign with Harrison Armory as the main villain. The idea was, so they had this commander that they picked up in a sort of Operation Paperclip-esque situation, where it's connected to another campaign I ran, where there was this SecCom revivalist uprising on a planet, and Harrison, after everything calmed down and everyone was brought in for imprisonment and trials, picked up one of the commanders of that because he was very good at his job. So they picked him up, kind of like...
You have to hand it to the second commanders.
He was... You gotta hand it to him. So they...
You do not, under any circumstances, have to hand it to them. Right.
Apologies if you hear my dog in the background, by the way. He's very loud.
Oh, no. I didn't hear anything.
Alright. So, yeah, they picked him up. And in the endless wisdom of the Steward Council, they sent him as one of the leaders of this force. They were coming to this other planet because they wanted to... One of the members of the Steward Council needed a new summer home, and they wanted to get property on the planet, or just take the planet.
Mm-hmm.
But they made the mistake of sending God's most blood-soaked war criminal to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And he immediately decided that instead of trying to negotiate, he's going to stage a false flag incident to let him invade the planet.
Okay.
It ended with the PCs. They got to his flagship to find the ship's NHP had realized he'd screwed everything up, and essentially arrested him, and was able to negotiate. He was able to talk things out with the PCs. The ship's fleet commanding NHP.
Rare W for NHPs in kind of like on the villain side in these campaigns. I feel like a lot of the time they're kind of like used as stand-ins for like, oh, they've like gone insane.
Oh yeah.
You have to fight them.
I did have one of those, but this one, what I call him, David, he was very chill, like, listen, the guy they sent to do this is insane. I'm getting rid of him. Can we talk this out?
Mm-hmm.
It was fun. My friends enjoyed it.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I
like like Harrison again in this instance like is a useful kind of like narrative container for okay, how do you like where do you put the bad guys?
Yeah, Harrison
like,
is just
against.
very good. Like, you see Harrison, I think a lot of people see Harrison Armory and they're gonna think space Nazis.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of, I think even
but like
to,
if they were straight up like space Nazis, then like Union would not be working with them.
Yeah,
right?
Union wouldn't keep them around. I remember seeing a Tumblr post, I think it was by like Vex or something, how they're not space Nazis. And if you ask me, if you want space Nazis in Lancer, the Union's second committee is right there.
Yeah, this is, I mean, I guess Wallflower spoilers, like Wallflower gets into this a little bit.
Oh yeah, I would assume so, being set on Hercynia and all that.
Yeah.
I've never played Wallflower, and I really, really want to, so I'm excited to eventually play Wallflower. That's something.
It was my introduction to Lancers. A friend of mine was like, come play this like Wallflower game.
Oh, you lucky you. I need to be a player more. I'm the forever GM of my group.
So it goes.
In terms of using Harrison, I definitely agree with your idea of them being... They're very imperialistic. My friend that I talked to, she was thinking about how Harrison is a sort of metaphor or sort of draws on the idea of America, and how Harrison has been described as not a perfected American dream, but one that works pretty well if you actually live under them. And I think that's an interesting idea.
I think this comes from the Vex post as well. It's like, what if the American dream was real? Spoiler alert, it's still bad.
Yeah, because while things are great if you live in the Armory, what if you don't live in the Armory? That's where everything is awful. I remember...
Yeah, it's not great to be one of the externalities.
It's absolutely not. I remember reading in one of the... What was it? One of the like extra little stories that the Lancer team has put out.
Mm-hmm.
It was Midnight on the Open Hand, and it's about John Harrison III while he's on his like forced vacation.
Yeah.
And he visits a planet that Harrison nuked into oblivion for resisting.
Mm-hmm.
And he decides, I hate my dad. I hate the Armory. I should do something about this. And I think it's interesting how the moment the guy who's poised to come home and lead Harrison Armory, the moment he sees what they're actually doing, he decides that he hates Harrison Armory so much and he needs to fix this immediately.
Just as soon as he gets home.
Just as soon as he gets home, which may never happen. They may... Who knows? Because there's the Steward Council is what really runs Harrison Armory. It's this big group of just like the richest guys in the Armory, I think. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar. I don't remember exactly.
All right. Well, yeah, they have this Steward Council, and when Harrison II kind of got vaporized,
Mm-hmm.
they saw like 2-year-old John Harrison III and decided send him on a bit of an extended vacation for a bit to make him tour every world in the Purview, so they don't have to deal with him and they can run things in the meantime.
Really like the Trials of Hercules sort of tactic there.
Yeah, pretty much. They've sent him off on this grand odyssey, probably hoping he doesn't come back for a while. But now that he is coming back, I think the book poses the question of, what are they going to do about it? Is he coming home to a throne or a cage?
I mean, cage, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. But I think I personally like to think John III's got it. I think he's got the fight in him to maybe fix things, to maybe at least not get immediately dropped by the Steward Council.
Here's hoping. Yeah, that sounds like an interesting story. It's interesting to kind of ask questions like this, because I think something that the Lancer book does is present so many tension points in both like the lore, the history, like such as this, and then I guess just like other situations, like the whole no human or like no person shall be kept in bondage, but we're gonna like use NHPs for like running our power grid.
Yeah, I agree. It poses
just
a
like
lot
even
of questions and sort of like, what's the word? Hypocrisies that kind of are needed to make the society.
And it's never gonna answer them. Like there's no like, and here's the next step in like the Lancer lore. Like this is all up to players to run their own campaign. So is Harrison gonna come home to a throne or cage? You know,
time to find out.
It's gonna be a 5 voices, like million different like simulations.
Yeah. Lancer puts a pencil on the table, tells you, pick it up, get to work.
Yeah, it's your turn.
It's your turn, get writing. And I love that. And how was it coding the Armory frames? How was that as an experience?
I actually made a little like tier ranking of all the different mechs.
Oh, I remember that. I'm gonna look for that really quick.
And I think Sherman was pretty far up there because it just like does damage, and it's like Asura just +1 action point, done, easy. Call that one a day.
Yeah, I see it. Sherman is at the top.
Yeah. Though I don't know. I have both Saladin and Napoleon in the like. I think there's one difficult thing. And I'm wanting to like bump them lower and lower all the time because Blink Shield is so hard to deal with. Of just like, okay,
problems.
Yeah, like the thing that's actually getting me right now is that you can currently like shoot across the Blink Shield, like you can't see into the Blink Shield, but it doesn't block line of sight out of it because I don't have a good way for it to block line of sight for people outside of the shield, but not inside the shield, if that makes sense.
I get that. It's much easier to do like on a physical map than it is to code. I have to imagine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. People say just like, oh yeah, like computers are pretty good at line of sight. Line of sight is like one of the hardest problems that I'm tackling like in Lancer, because it's like this like voxel to voxel calculation, which is like a cubed thing. So it's like, okay, it's easy to calculate if this voxel can see this one, but what about this one to all the other ones, and vice versa? Luckily it's symmetrical, so that does save time.
All right. I see. The Barbarossa is near the bottom of the list. Was it the Apocalypse rail, or was it like
was
the
Apocalypse rail? It was just so annoying.
It's such a
like 1,000 different effects, and it's like, okay, this smoke burns you, and this smoke just gives hard cover.
And you have to destroy all these tiles, and you have to do 100.
That wasn't too hard. Like doing 100 damage, great. I put the 100 damage number in the box, and then there's a big crater. It's always like the weird things that you don't really expect that end up being hard.
Alright.
Yeah, like it was much more annoying to be like, okay, this smoke gives like soft cover on this turn, and then it does like burn on this turn, and then it goes away, and like doing that like sort of one-off progression, much more annoying.
If you could maybe, is there one thing about Harrison Armory that you think, from a gameplay or lore perspective, is there one thing you're really not a big fan of about them? Like maybe a specific core bonus, the way a certain mech is built, some part of their story? Is there something about them you're just not a big fan
of? I want to say like maybe the thing that Vex was talking about, where they very quickly can just be like shorthand, like these are the bad guys.
Okay. Yeah.
And like making it like having maybe painting a better picture of like, okay, here are the things that it promises, and showing things from that viewpoint in order for people to like draw parallels to their own lives. If you live in the US, like being like, oh, the things that they're saying is the same thing that our government is saying. Like if they're like, oh, if you don't like something, like just vote on it, or and then it's like, oh, aren't these supposed to be the bad guys? And just like help people like maybe connect those dots a little bit better instead of like othering them.
Yeah, I think
because they are us.
That's true. I think one thing that I think that they should do a bit more of is show like the average civilian life, because I feel like when you see Harrison Armory, all you see are the weapons manufacturers and the colonial legionnaires. What kind of cars?
Yeah, and
what kind of
so,
cars
like,
do they make? What do they eat for breakfast?
In preparation for this, I actually like did a quick reread of the core books like section on Harrison, and it said things like, oh yeah, and most people in the Lancer universe, like what common knowledge, quote unquote, would be like things available on the OmniNet, wouldn't really know like anything in particular about like the think tank or like Rash Shamra or anything. It's just like, oh yeah, like Harrison Armory, I think they're like a weapons manufacturer, like it would evoke the same things as like Raytheon, where it's like, oh yeah, don't they make like drones?
Okay.
And so most of the stuff that players know about Harrison Armory does not correspond to like what would be known in universe.
A normal person
right.
doesn't know that the Agni was built from the from a vivisected egregorian.
Yeah, of course not.
The average person doesn't know this. They don't know that there's a think tank that thought up how to the perfect way to implode insurgents, and they turned that into the Iskander. They don't know this stuff.
And there was a sentence about being like, oh, and like the thing that like most consumers interact with Harrison Armory is like they have a division that like exports like exotic like spices for public consumption, and they like do make cars. But it was just like a couple sentences at the very end of the section. Yeah, it's like, oh, I actually kind of want to know like.
Yeah, I want to know more.
What does a like Harrison Armory like Cybertruck look like?
They would have cars that look like that, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I want to know more about what life is actually like living in and around the Armory. I want to know, what is it like? Do they have a McHarrison's around? I gotta know these things.
Well, yeah, and I think the important thing here is, again, to help people realize that it's like, oh, I'm living in Harrison Armory right now, if you are in the US.
Oh, I am.
Or like
I
other...
live in the East Coast.
This is kind of dangerous territory because, not dangerous, but just like in Warhammer 40k or something, you can have like these like fascist human civilizations, and people say, wow, cool robot. And I see like on, I don't know, like Steam forums, people like role playing and just like regurgitating quote unquote like satirical stuff. Like it's the whole like war crimes joke that goes around in the Lancer community where like people they just like say what's cool and then they regurgitate it without like really thinking about it.
I once saw in a YouTube comment section someone call Harrison the First based because he started the Armory because Union was trying to because the second committee was destroyed, and they called Harrison the First based because they thought that slaughtering the Egregorians was cool.
Yeah, this is a thing that you always run the risk of. You have people cosplaying as stormtroopers, being like, y'all, do you know what that word means?
I mean,
like, do you know the origins of this?
Yeah.
This ain't great. I know they have cool armor, and you as a Star Wars head really likes a cool helmet. Who doesn't love a cool helmet? I love helmet.
I used to be a big Empire did nothing wrong person. When I think when everyone's 13, they have a phase of like the Empire did nothing wrong, or wow, the Imperium of Man is so cool and badass.
But I wouldn't say everyone. I feel like it's very easy in the like our imperialist core to like. So, for example, did you know that most countries in the world don't teach like the droppings of the nuclear bombs like as like, oh, and this was justified because this ended the war and it was terrible that so many people had to like lose their lives. Like the way that other countries teach it are things like, oh, we didn't really know how bad this was going to be and we really fucked up here and we have like moved on and America has like decided to be the world's police to make sure it never happens again. Like is how everybody else thinks that we think. Like it went on. Like we live in this bubble, and it makes us, I think, a little bit more susceptible. I would say.
I can agree with that. I can agree
the sort of thing.
That.
I don't know. Like I'm kind of talking out of my butt here.
Well, no, I get it. When you live so close to the source, it's easy to not see the issues.
Yeah, because like the people that you know personally haven't been hurt by
because you haven't seen the. It's probably what it's like living on Rosh Shamra. Like, you live so close to the center of things, you're never going to see what it's like on the edge or outside. Yeah, and
so, like, maybe if you went on some sort of, like, tour of the Purview and you saw the things that they actually did, like, maybe your mind would be changed?
Yeah. I think this actually happened to a certain guy, you know?
A certain guy?
Yeah. It's basically...
Probably won't come to anything.
Yeah, I'm sure nothing will happen from that. Like, me personally, I live in the USA. I've never been to a place like Afghanistan or to a place like I've never been to any of those. I've never been to the Middle East. I personally probably will never end up seeing the effects of the US Army in these places. So it's going to be easier for someone like me to kind of disassociate the crimes committed because it in some way benefits me.
Well, let me tell you a little thing about like
all right, hit me.
US like manifest destiny here on our own soil. You can look around and like see the crimes and like the blood on the ground around you, and that's also being covered up. I feel like such a conspiracy theorist about it, but like,
oh my god, tell me about it.
I don't know.
I understand. I get it. There's people in my family who are very like that, and they just like do not believe that the government would do this, or if they would believe that, they don't believe that the current government would do that. It's I feel your pain. And like
these are common defense measures. It's just like, oh, like, you know, maybe we did genocide against like the Native Americans, but that was all so long ago and they're all gone now. It's like, y'all, people are still here. Like, and like the genocide like is ongoing but it's like been so normalized.
One that I've heard
Yeah.
is, okay, yeah, it happened, but also this happened to another group of people. So
Yeah.
what about, like, a lot of whataboutisms get tossed around, and it's
Yeah.
maddening. It certainly drives me up the wall. I'm glad someone else gets it. I'm glad someone else gets it.
Yeah. So I'm trying to bake as much of my anger about this into this explodey robot game.
That's real. I think Lancer is kind of built to kind of put in a lot of that anger.
Yeah.
It's kind of a setting built around that, where you can, you're allowed to feel angry about it, and you can do something about it in Lancer. You can actively, like, take the guy who's running this SecCom revivalist group and make him bite the curb. You can bring these guys to justice in Lancer, and it's cathartic. It's very cathartic.
Yeah, and like I'm a little bit jaded about, like, I don't know, this idea of, and this like very solar punk idea of, if we like see a better future, or like if we like consume the right entertainment products, then the world will be fixed. And I don't think that that's true. I don't think that games and stories like this can save the world. But like, they're also important to tell, or like, also, I don't know how to do anything else. Like, this is all that's within my power. Yeah, so I think it's important to tell these sorts of stories, but also with a big asterisk of like, and it, like, personal catharsis about this is neat, I guess.
But personal catharsis is nice, but it's not gonna get anything done in the long term.
Yeah.
It's just
like, it's not gonna be the full picture.
Yeah, but it's a good way to just try and get it all out, instead of like grabbing someone by the shoulders and screaming at them.
Yeah.
When I write, I'm writing and currently playtesting a Lancer module. I have written the main villain as he starts off as this very suave, controlled kind of, he's the big bad of this SecCom revivalist, of this very anthro-chauvinist group. And he's cool, he's collected. I crack a joke where he hits the George Bush, "Watch this drive," at one point. How unbothered he is about these things. But the moment that things get to him, and the moment that the players have a real chance of stopping him, he just crumbles. He folds like a piece of paper, and in the final encounter, I don't mean to take up the conversation now, but in the final encounter, when you go and you bring him in, you have to drag him kicking and screaming while he's sobbing snot and everything about how this can't be it. He can't be he's very pathetic the moment he loses.
Not in power. Yeah. I think that's, like, we all love our big scenery chewing villain, and I think video games are like, oh yeah, the final boss will have like a couple different health bars, and like they'll not go down easy. But like, the real leaders are just people, really.
They're just guys.
Real monsters in the world. Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote it where if you, for some reason, if you spare him and let him go, a few days later, he's found basically having been given the Mussolini treatment.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he gets lynched by the populace for what he did, and they just find him like strung up in the middle of nowhere. That actually did happen to Mussolini. He managed.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't actually know the history of that.
Oh yeah, Mussolini. He escaped, and like a week later, a group of communist partisans found him, and they like strung him upside down in a barn and beat him to death. And that
wild.
And that was the end of Benito Mussolini. And that's, if you spare the main villain in this, that is exactly what happens. He gets found by a group of partisans and is just killed. It's very unceremonious, and it's really about all he deserves. But
can you imagine that, like, being like a resistance cell and just being, oh,
it's the guy.
That's the guy.
Oh my god, it's Hitler! Get him! I cannot imagine what those guys must have thought when they just saw the Benito Mussolini. I
just watched the new Pinocchio that came out, and like, he's a character in it, and that's what I'm picturing here. I
need to watch that still. I still need to watch it. There's a lot of movies I still need to watch. I like Lancer. It's cool. I like the robot game because it allows you to be nice.
I also like the robot game. Luckily, I would be so screwed if I didn't still like the robot game.
God, imagine you just wake up one day, I wanna do D&D 5e now. And you said
Say it ain't so.
Oh god. I used to only ever play 5e. I haven't touched it in years. I
actually recently, like this last year, finished up a 4-year, I think, 5e campaign where we did Descent into Avernus, and I don't know. I liked okay. Actually, what I did was I made a character that let me play Lancer. I was a
I'm gonna let you go. I'm sure you've got a lot of stuff you need to handle today. Have a wonderful day, Olive. Thank you for coming along, and thank everyone out there for watching, ladies, lovelies, and the interdimensional insectoid creatures from the nth dimension. Thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful day.